little comment.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to call this special called meeting, the B County Commissioners Court, to order. Today is Monday, September 26, 2022 at 9 a.m. We are physically located at B County Courthouse, Commissioners Courtroom, number 110, 105 West Corpus Christi Street, Beeville, Texas, 78102. That was the call to order. Would everybody please stand, join Commissioner Fayette in a brief prayer?
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the blessings you provide for us. We ask you to please watch over the court and all the decisions that we make for the county to the best of our ability. Thank you for the abundance of rain. We ask you to continue to watch over us as a county. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas Pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
I had a run of one before I stumbled again. Welcome, everybody. We're on a, by the time I'm done, I'll maybe have it figured out. We're on agenda item number 4, recognition of visitors. Are there any visitors who would like to identify themselves? This is not public comment. Public comment will happen in a minute. I know we do have some visitors. There's no pressure that you identify yourselves, but if you'd like to just stand up and say your name, or not even stand up, just say your name for the record, you're welcome to do so at this time.
Mike Johns.
Mr. Yance, welcome. Thank you for being here this morning. Is there anybody else? Thank you all for being here, and we'll move on to Commissioners Court opening remarks.
I'll go ahead and start, doesn't matter. It's been a fairly quiet week. Had a few phone calls, met with the Tiny Water Board, one of their annual meetings, our monthly meetings, had long discussions about their water system and everything. Also got an individual who lives on Corrigan, on the very end of Corrigan. I say lives, he has property out there at the end. He lives in Houston. He is a developer, and so I got him in touch with the BAP, and also I'm going to get with Robbie, hopefully before the end of the meeting or after the meeting, and he's looking for someone to help clean down the properties that leave buildings and such, not just trash, it's buildings and such. And he's trying to introduce some home sites there in Skidmore, in the city of, in the town side of Skidmore and around. He's got some properties he's looking at. So, but he was very, he did speak very highly of the group that were here this weekend from the adult probation. They walked the 2 miles of Corrigan Road and cleaned up Corrigan Road there again. That one, since they've started cleaning it, it doesn't get as bad as it used to. I think it's just because they know somebody's watching. Also, this gentleman at the end down there, Mr. Orr, also does the same thing. He gets out on his buggy, picks up what's laying around in there. He said he estimates there's at least 2 habitual litters there in the area, so he'll catch them before it's over with. Other than that, it's just been on the phone talking to people and seeing what's going on. I want to thank Ray for getting 99% of Papalote mowed, cleaned up, the ditches and everything mowed and everything cleaned up. He did clean up all the leftover signs from the wind farm. Caution signs, narrow road signs, everything like that. He cleaned it up so that we were able to mow the road properly. But anyway, that's pretty much it. And I'll get to my next mission.
This past couple of weeks has been the Blanconia Fire Department update. All info was sent to the program director and waiting for a final approval. This is from Hurricane Harvey, guys. So that's almost to the end here. We have till December 31st to turn in the plan to get that money. The BDA lift station is 95% complete on the plan. It's in the attorney's hands, so it gives a final approval, so it's sent an RFP out for the engineer. So that's there. No report on the tax office IT build out. Haven't heard from Mercer or anything yet. And we've got some grass calls, but I've already passed those on to Road and Bridge. That's my report. Thank you, Commissioner.
I have several things, but I'm going to use my time to commend some people this morning. And I'm going to start with the tax office. When you go through this agenda, when you see the amount of numbers that tax office has to put together this time of year, it's astonishing. Thousands of numbers, and they have to be correct. And I want to commend them for doing that. The second office is the auditor's office. The same thing. When you go through this packet and you see what they've had to do to get us through the year, and the work that Madam Auditor has done, April has done, to find the money to cover overages, because there's been overages almost everywhere for fuel, for supplies, for everything else. And it's very commendable. Never heard a complaint from this office, from this lady. She went in, she found it, she did her work. And thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your staff for all they've done. And it's, when you go through this agenda and you see all that work, it's a huge amount of work. And I don't know how you got any sleep between the time you started this and now, because it's a bunch. The third person is our county judge. He's an integral part of this, and I know he worked closely with the auditor to find the money and to get these things covered, and thank you, sir. It's not an easy job. I appreciate what y'all have done. If y'all haven't gone through this agenda and looked at all these numbers and all this work, you need to do it. It's part of what your county government does. The tax office, the auditor's office, and the county judge, they do their work quietly, they do it professionally, and they do it well. And I want to thank them personally for what they do. On that note, I'll pass to the right.
Thank you. Been pretty much business as normal. I had spoken to Mr. Yance about some potential improvements out at the expo and whatnot, which will address those. Ray on some signage down Lehman and mowing. Of course, people, you know, I keep telling people just be patient. They're coming, you know. And then went out yesterday. There was some really bad spots in Blueberry Hill where the grass was like above the mailboxes on the actual side, the street side. So I went and took care of that yesterday. And then just the normal trash. Robbie and I, there's a lady called in. Someone had dumped the actual chemical tote full of garbage and another white, like one of those 50-gallon barrels or whatever. But the good thing is we found names. Robbie did. Thank you, Robbie. And that's been turned in, and so we're going to go actually take care of picking that up today, because it's too heavy for two people to just pick up. So we need the crane on the trailer to get that up and go dispose of it properly. So other than that, that's really been about it.
Thank you, commissioners. I just noticed, I was looking at the calendar, and this is our third meeting in 7 days. So thank you guys for continuing to show up, and my tires haven't been slashed. There's no sugar in my gas tank yet. So we may do this once more this week, but then after that, we're gonna go back to the regular schedule.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, y'all caught on to that. I was trying to slip past you. I attended my first B Area Partnership meeting last Monday after Commissioners Court meeting. It was educational and informative and interesting, and I really appreciate, I'll do my best to fill the shoes that Commissioner Haggard is leaving, but it is great to see local businessmen and also public entity heads getting together to try to find solutions and opportunities for growth within and into our communities. So that was an interesting meeting. I look forward to that. CBCOG, Coastal Bend Council of Governments, had a big meeting last Friday. That's going to be reset for this Friday. It deals with about $150 million worth of funds that will be coming down to our region and how to divvy them up. So hopefully in the next few weeks we'll have an update for you as to that distribution plan, what P County might be expecting to receive. But otherwise, a very busy week. And looks like this one's going to be a busy week as well. So looking forward to it. Thank you all. We'll now move to public. Well, actually, and I know there may be some people here that want to speak at public comment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move. We've got a bunch of wonderful young B Countyans in the hallway this morning. They're not in school, And, all of us up here would like them to be in school. We don't want to be the cause for them getting half a day off. And so I'm going to move agenda item number,
19.
yes, this is last week's. Is it? Yeah, hold on. It does on track. Okay, thank you. 17, 18, okay, good. Move agenda item number 19, up in front of agenda item number 6. So I'll call agenda item number 19 now. Approved proclamation designating October 2 through 8, 2022 as National 4-H Week. Can we bring in our 4-H, or do you want me to just turn the floor over to you, Mr. Gulick?
Sure. Landon Gulick, B County Agri-Life Extension Agent. Today we have our 4-H ambassadors as well as some of our 4-H council members today to get this proclamation signed. Thank y'all for meeting with us today and putting us on the agenda. So go ahead, Clayton, you can go ahead and state your name and read the proclamation.
Hi, I'm Clayton Russell, and then I'll be reading y'all's proclamation.
Mr. Russell, why don't you stand right there and we'll get you on camera.
Sir. Whereas the B County Commissioner Court is proud to honor the 4-H Youth Development Program of the Texas A&M Agri-Life Extension Service for 115 years of providing experience-based education to youngsters throughout the Lone Star State. And whereas the Admirable Program, which seeks to provide a learning experience for the whole child, including head, heart, hand, and health, helps young Texans to acquire knowledge, develop life skills, and form attitudes to enable them to become self-directed, productive, and contributing members of our society. And whereas it is more than 550,000 urban, suburban, and rural youth participants ranging in age from 8 to 19, hail a diverse ethnic and social economic background, and truly represent a cross-section of the state. And whereas the program undoubtedly could not have achieved the success that it has today were it not for the service of its 22,000 volunteers who gave generously of their time, talent, energies, and resources to the youth of Texas. And whereas through its proud history, the 4-H program has developed positive role models for countless Texans, and through its innovative and inspiring programs, contributes to build character and to instill the values that have made our state strong and great. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the B County Commissioners Court hereby designated October 2nd through the 8th of 2022 as National 4-H Week in Texas, and commend that the Youth 4-H Development Program of Texas A&M Agri-Life Extension Service, and that the many men and women who have made the program a success.
Move to approve, Judge.
I have a motion, and it's multiple seconds. Any further discussion? Thank you, Mr. Russell, for reading that out, and thank you, everybody else, for being present here this morning. Oh, yeah, and we'll take a photo op right after the vote. So, if there is any further discussion, hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception.
And
Thank
I'd
you once
like
again.
to, Judge, I'd like to recommend we give all these youngsters a round of applause. And their sponsors. And they're in the hallway.
We know the amount of work you kids put in, so thank you, and keep it up. Come on up, let's take a photo, please. Yeah, we'll get
Oh, I'll bet we have room.
somebody.
I bet Mama's has got cameras.
If I can throw these ones.
Alumni right here.
Yep. Why don't you put, let's make 2 rows, kind of up, less tall in front, and then taller in back.
Excuse doesn't have a title.
Your parents,
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thing I noticed, y'all have had handshake class with these guys, and they all know how to do the handshake. Right there. Very good, good handshake. Take care.
Right, John. Always nice to see you guys.
I think we ought to switch from these chairs to those little inflatable balls.
Yes. Why don't you try it, Judge? Let
Better
us know
for
how it
you.
is.
You know,
I had a superintendent that did that.
Really?
Yeah, he hurt his back, and then he hurt his arm, he kept falling off of it.
Believe it or not, I know a guy that elected up in it makes you sit for correction.
Must be fun to party.
It
I can only imagine.
4 years to
Yeah.
articulate the way you should.
About 50 party.
Okay, moving on. We'll go back to our regularly scheduled agenda item number 6, public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to address Commissioners Court at this time? Mr. Cheney, would you, let me see, hold on real quick. You have an agenda item that we'll let you speak on at that point in time. If there is nobody, we'll move on. Agenda item number 7, the following items are of an administrative nature. Commissioners Court has been furnished documentation on each item, and all such items may be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a commissioner or county judge.
Move to approve the comment.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second with a comment.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner DeWitt, you have the floor, and then.
Looking at our ad valorem taxes, they're up substantially, and that's a good thing, so.
And sales tax.
And sales tax,
Yes.
yes, they are up substantially, and, matter of fact, the ad valorem 21.97%, 21.93%, 1 month to the next, so, life is good.
That's great. Commissioner
That was
Haggard?
my comment.
My only comment is on our, I guess let me go back here to the page. Our, comp time report, all the numbers look really, really good except for one department. And that kind of exceeds what we've asked for within, keeping them in the range. And, I'm hoping that we're looking into that to get that, adjusted as possible, as quick as possible.
Thank you. Any further discussion, comments?
Spoke, thank you for catching us up on the minute.
Yes.
So we can actually remember
Yeah, thank you.
what we said.
Excellent. If there's nothing further, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Moving on. Yeah, so I guess I have yours. Is that one different, or is that one the same?
That's the one I got.
Is this one I have? Oh, this is mine.
You're more than welcome to this one.
No, it's okay.
You know, the fifth note down here.
I'm working. I've got too much technology in front of me. I'm getting confused. Discuss and consider action on the following items. Agenda item number 8, approve fiscal year 2023 Office of the Attorney General statewide automated victim notification service (SAVNS) grant contract number C00012.
Move to approve the amount that I see maximum reimbursement cost is $17,505.23.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
It is an extremely long contract for, it doesn't seem like it should be. I can understand this, attorney. Yep.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Agenda item 9, approve submission of application to the Texas Indigent Defense Commission, TIDC, fiscal year 2023 formula grant.
Move to approve.
Yes. Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 10, approve request for additional ARP funding for the Tidmore,
You're on a roll.
Keep it up, Judge, you're doing good.
we just roll this back and start over. Yeah, let me try again. Take a breath. Agenda item number 10, approve request for additional ARP funding for the Tyne and Water Supply Corporation system. Commissioner Haggard, this is your agenda item. You have the floor, sir.
Yes, in the meeting with, the Tyne and Water Board, with our Water Supply Corporation, they have a couple of small requests, and I asked them to please bring that to the American Rescue Plan. Not sure, I know that I had turned in a wish list for them for other items, and those are items further down the road. I have met with them. I have some confirmation from through the board about I don't know why I said Odin, about Mathis coming into the district. They have plans. Of course, they're all waiting for the end of the big grant to fix everything. I think Commissioner DeWitt and I will bring you in on it. He made a suggestion. I had already thought about that, and I'm glad he kind of jogged my memory about possibly sending a water line from Mathis. I'm hearing rumors, now they're not totally confirmed, there is a water line coming after all of this, but it's not to go to Mathis. Or not to go to Tynan, it's to go back to Mathis, because if you guys notice, with that, I think they're asking for a second well. So they're kind of wanting to pull from there also to help the resources. But again, it's all in contingent with waiting on the main grant to repair the whole system. What they're asking for right now is to help with the sanding issue that they have with their well and their water quality. And I will allow the president to come up and give us a little speech on what he's asking for. He has all the basic numbers and everything.
We don't have a motion. Yeah, that's what. Mr. Cheney, come on up. And Mr. Cheney, while you're coming up, when you do get up, no, please. When you do come up, please identify yourself for our record. Thank you. Sure.
Steve Cheney, I'm a resident of Tynan in B County, and I serve currently as president of the Tynan Water Supply Corporation. Gentlemen, thanks for accommodating us this morning. As I sit and watch, number one, thank you for your attention to those young people. I'm 63, I can still remember the day I went before our we call them county supervisors in Mississippi, and then we went on to the legislature. It's a grand thing in the lives of those kids that y'all do. You don't even realize it. You're so busy caught up in the business of doing business, but that's important work y'all do. Thank y'all for that. So I lost my son a year ago, and I can remember going with him to things like this, and it has a lot of special meanings. So anyway, thank you, gentlemen. We're a little history on Tynan. It's 25 years old. It hasn't had real major work done to it in those 25 years. There's been some patches, there's been some fixes. Primarily our problem is we need a new sand trap at the bottom of the existing well. That well is about 640 foot deep. Our pump is set at about 270 feet right now. We thought if we could come up out of some of that area, we would alleviate our sand problem. I'm afraid our casing may be compromised. Most of this situation that I've shared with friends of mine in agriculture and stuff, the Israelis have a lot of experience in this. To conserve water, they're delivering it in irrigation tape or drip tape. That water has to be as clean as any municipal water, or you can imagine sand trying to go through a real small drip tape that's up underneath the crops. It creates havoc. They install a system called a hydroclone, and there's stainless steel versions for municipal purposes, and then there's poly-coated ones, for the agricultural purposes. Due to COVID and supply chain issues, the stainless ones are on back order, and they even use the term national back order. But what happens is the water is coming up from your well, you install these hydroclones, and it looks similar to a cyclone. It's a self-contained unit about the length of your desk there, and as it separates the sand from the water, it fills up in the bottom. It'll build pressure up, it tells it to open a valve, and it blows that sand out to the side, and it never reaches your supply tank. 14 months ago, we we just had to shut the system down. And, I think it was down for almost 2 weeks while we evacuated the tank. It had 50% of the tank capacity was packed in sand, and it was quite the ordeal to get it out. And while we're inconvenienced with water, who it hits the hardest are the homebound. And we have some folks there that are on dialysis. We have some folks that are on some pretty powerful medicine, and the side effects of that are upset stomachs and diarrhea. And when they don't have water, you know, it's a struggle. One particular lady is 82 years old, and we made a point to hand deliver water to her so that she would have it, you know, for toiletries. And anyway, it's so disheartening when you see these kind of things happen. And for the lack of a little bit of money, we service 96 meters. There's just enough cash flow there to maintain this system. But as we deal with bigger problems that are coming up, you know, we're just now paying off the last tank cleaning. And we appreciate everything that y'all have done in the past to help and to support us. As a businessman, I get pretty disheartened at the lack of progress and how slow the wheels turn in Washington and in Austin. And I'm sure y'all deal with that on a daily basis. I don't. When a customer calls me, I either perform or they get somebody who will. And it is so hard to apply that attitude to a situation like this. We have a 79-year-old Hispanic lady with 30 years of service to the SBA. Very organized, Ophi Jimenez, I think of it. She's out there in rubber boots every day, taking water samples so that we can be compliant with TCEQ and the Texas Rural Water Association. I tell you all this to set the stage. If somehow, with all the needs that y'all are trying to meet with limited funds, if y'all could find us $10,000 to install these hybrid clones where we can keep a consistent water supply to our customers and try to bridge this gap until the second or third quarter when we get our grant for next year. And they're going to dig a new well and put in a new storage tank. Part of my frustration with all this is we get $1.2 million. By the time it goes through the planning, the engineering, and the shuffling of the papers, and we're vetted to be a viable recipient of these funds, we get netted out about 800-some thousand. There goes our new water meters that we needed to install. So we try to be very good stewards, and we're all volunteers, but we try to be very good stewards of the public's money. And anyway, we need some help, not necessarily for us as the board members, but for those elderly and homebound that we're trying to make sure are serviced. And I don't know how to appeal to you on a bigger scale than to please.
You've done well, Mr. Cheney.
I'm sorry?
You've done well.
Well, there is a dire need there. And it's not that we're tired. I'm the youngest, well, my wife's the youngest one on the board. She's 60. I'm 63. Miss Sophie's 79. And Dennis Perry is, I believe he's 68. And we're tired. And my business takes me away for 7-10 days at a time. And when I come in, you know, Miss Sophie's pulling her hair out. Help. Anyway.
So $10,000 will cover the cost for this hydro clone to
These hydro clones, yes, sir. And
to order it or to
try to get it, to get it and get it installed, yes, sir. And we've reached into our own pockets and made repairs, and we've done what we can. But we're
Mr. Cheney,
we're in dire need right now.
you mentioned at the beginning, there's a stainless steel one, which is on a national back order, and then there's a poly one. Have y'all, install the poly one, will you be able to distribute water by the TCEQ?
We have a local rep for TCEQ named Eric, one of the finest young men I've ever met. And by the way, your emergency operations guy came out to see, is it Chad? Ryan, I am so sorry. Y'all had been over backwards to try to accommodate us. Commissioner Haggard, incoming Commissioner Olivares, everybody has tried, and we're not big enough to command any attention, but yet we're too big to qualify for some of the other emergency grants that are here. This sounds so horrible, and it's not a threat, but our next step is to hand it to you. I've never quit anything in my life. I've never hollered calf road, but that's where we're at. But to answer your question specifically, TCEQ, the stainless steel one is ANSI 60 and ANSI 61 approved. The poly ones, in some instances, they accept them as ANSI 61 approved, in some instances they don't. TCEQ has indicated, that the poly one will not pass their muster. And my response to him was, and I'll clean it up, there's poly-coated tanks all over water systems in the state of Texas. We're not installing this as an end-all, cure-all. This is to help us keep water to our elderly and home-ridden customers, The other thing, too, is, guys, when we're down, our volunteer fire department's down. They have to run the Skidmore to get water. Chief Thomas Mingers, we're all working together and, trying to figure this thing out. But at the end of the day, it comes to, we need a little help, just a little help to bridge the gap. And we're hoping that my appeal to you this morning and through the efforts of Mr. Haggard, that y'all could find something somewhere to help us with this.
Ask a question. The Texas Water Development Board and TCEQ have regulations that the nearest water system has to take over, which would be Mathis, to take over the Tyne water system. We keep hearing different statuses of that. What is the status of
It's on hold right now.
Okay, why is it on hold?
Because if they intervene in any way or get involved, we'll lose our grant. And then we gotta go back and start all over.
Okay, so eventually they will be taking over the system.
Yes, and that's another bone of contention with me. That thing should have stayed in B County. At some point in time, development's going that way, and, I'm not trying to jinx our deal with Mathis, or I'm not unhappy about the thing with Mathis, at all.
It is my station.
I farm here in B County. B County is my home county. The thing should have stayed here.
Well, the tariff will be set by TCEQ and Water Development Board, and Mathis will be charging, but the system and all will still, the houses still be in B County. We're not changing the county line, even though the water will be coming from Mathis.
Commissioner D, with all the respect I can muster to a politician, that's stuff y'all shuffle papers with and do. What I do is go out there and turn the faucet on. If sand comes out of it, then I crawl myself up in that tank, and Miss Opie hangs around to make sure I don't pass out in the tank. And that's what I worry about. Your tariffs and all. And I understand that that's your verbiage. You work in that world. I don't. I despise it. My daddy always said, boy, if you want something done, send that boy mine. Now, he may come back holding it in two pieces and it won't run no more, but he'll get it done. And that's what we are, is get done kind of people. My appeal to you this morning is for you to take what you do in your world and see if you can help us.
So and I think we all want to help Tyne. What is your young TCEQ representative in the area? He's indicated that he thinks he can find an emergency authorization to Because if you don't have this, you're gonna continue to have your sanding problems, and as a practical matter, your system is not gonna be
Nobody will give me an
operable.
answer.
Nobody
Will give us an answer. They have lots of things you can't do. I said, okay, well, come down here and show me what to do that will fall within your guidelines.
And
They can't give you any answers, and, this is not an indictment of TCEQ. They do very important work, and that is, they're the watchdog to make sure that all these systems are compliant and delivering healthy water without E. coli or whatever.
And are y'all looking to buy one cyclone or multiple cyclones?
That would be two
Two?
that will be installed parallel, and they're about $4,000 a piece. And everything's continually going up. Those are readily available. Yeah. In all honesty, we're gonna catch a little flack about them being poly-coated, and somebody's just going to stand up and tell them, well, this is how it's gonna be for right now. And so far, I've been that guy, and I don't mind doing it. If you want to put a volunteer in jail, for trying to deliver clean water, you know, I'll accept it. But we're at a point now to it, the next step is shut it down.
Right.
You
No,
know,
I understand the difficult situation that you face, but I also have a little bit of.
the real crime here, gentlemen, is the fact that they put this money out there and build these systems, and while you have the most well-intentioned general public in the community that, you know, is so glad we're getting a water system in, nobody's prepared to run it. Nobody's prepared to deal with the problems that are gonna crop up with it. Hell, most people aren't even prepared to deal with their own home well with a water softener on it. And, you know, praise the Lord, we've got enough contacts in the ag industry and others in municipal. The mayor up at Falls City, up the road here, has been very generous, with his wisdom and the things that they have. They're having similar problems just with their sewer plant, their wastewater treatment plant. Yes, sir.
Okay. Question that probably y'all have already been asked. If you drill in another well, same, encase it, new casing, take your pump and put it in that, how much is the cost of that versus two cyclones or whatever?
Well, $800,000 is gonna drill the well and put the water tank in. To drill a well now.
But y'all already have a tank, right? But you
We
need
have no
another
say
well.
so in this. When Grant Works goes into our engineer, and they have to have TCEQ sign off on every stinking thing, you know, and that's the way it should be, for the public safety. But we have no say so at all. We're just standing there waiting on what's left over.
Mr. Cheney, one thing that we're gonna have to do, correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Auditor, Judge, let's say we say we're gonna go with the $10,000 for this cyclone. It still has to go to our consultant to see if it meets the parameters. And if the consultant's told it may not meet TCEQ specs and be approved, I'm not sure where we're gonna end up.
Well, you know, we're, as far as I'm concerned, at 63 years old, I'm one step closer than I was last week. We started out there at the Dodge dealership, you know, and we've made it this far. So, don't want to quit. We just
I'm
wanna
just
keep
I'm just
pushing.
saying that we may get to a certain point and it looks like it's gonna happen, and they may say, can't do it, because it doesn't meet state specs.
Well, if it happens, it happens.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, well, we've got to attempt to do something. I'll ask you the same question, with all the respect in the world. Tell me what to do. You tell me what I can't do. Tell me what to do in this situation.
Mr. Cheney, I'm not in your shoes, but, I was the inspector in B County on that water system a long time ago in a different position. And I totally understand what you're saying about the people that were there and the money coming in.
Mhm.
And, the only thing I can say, those grants, we've been told more than once that they didn't want ARP money involved because it might mess up the grant, so that's why nothing has come from this court before now.
Yes, I've heard that.
We were told that multiple times, and no, we don't want any ARP money, because we don't want to jeopardize getting those grants.
Well, it's a little different scenario now. They know we're close to being shut down.
Yes.
So, do I have that on their letterhead? No, sir. But, they realize the trouble that we're in. There even was talk about seeing if we could get an advance on the net 800,000 to help alleviate this problem for now. My frustration is they would approve a set of portable tanks that we pump into while we're cleaning out the big tank. And I said, you're not addressing the problem. That's not even a Band-Aid. All you're doing is filling up another set of tanks with sand. We'll clean this one out, and then we'll go clean that one out. And we'll just play hopscotch between then and there. But that's within their approved regulations, and we don't have the personnel to do it.
Now, is this designed by an engineer? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Auditor, we're looking at an interlocal contract with them like we did with the Skidmore water system.
I would
And there
say
have to be some engineering specs and all to go along with from a certified engineer.
It's from our engineer, Bob Thornoff, out of Austin.
And he's already got the specs and everything written up?
Yes.
And if I understand what we were just discussing, Mr. Cheney, and I think everybody wants to support you, but even then, as far as expediency goes, you know, bureaucracy is gonna get in the middle of that. So y'all understand, if we approve this morning, it still has to go to Grant Works, and then I'm guessing based on what Commissioner DeWitt said, Grant Works may be engaging with TCEQ, which may result in, how do I say this best possible? In order to ultimately get this across the finish line, we may need to draw upon your passional and personal,
You got it.
ability. Thank you, yeah, to try to, because we're happy to work. I believe that we're all, as a county, we're happy to do everything that we can, but unfortunately, it sounds like there's no quick in run that we can make around, those regulations, so.
I had a very passionate come to Jesus meeting with, I think his name is Ryan Dickey with DCQ, and invited him to come down, and, he declined. But, we gotta do something.
Mr. Cheney, one thing that could happen, and I speak from experience, I held a water license with the state. Possibly, and this is something to keep in the back of your mind, we get this done for if it may be non-potable water, but we could get it done under that aspect. In other words, we understand that it doesn't meet state code, but we're pumping you water and it's classified as non-potable water, and we recommend you boil it or whatever.
Well, we're under boil notice
Well,
continually right now. What's the difference?
that's something that we can tell our grant people, if it gets down to TCQ will not approve it, can we do it this way?
Yeah.
In other words, look for an alternative.
Well, that's why we're here this morning. Look, you guys operate in a world I have no desire to operate in. You have the patience of Job, and then you turn around and do something as sweet as you do for those 4-H kids. I mean, that's awesome. And then you turn around, you have to be pit bulldogs. And, you know, I'm just one way down the road. And, I don't think I can live and operate in your world. It takes a special person to do what y'all do. And, no telling how many times you have to say no. And to well-intentioned people, you may have to say no to us, you know. And if you do, I'm prepared to accept that. But in all honesty, you're not saying no to me. You're saying no to that woman on dialysis and to that 80-year-old woman that's having side effects from her medication, and, you know, so.
I think what we're saying, we'll try.
There you go. That's the words I was looking to hear.
Try to find an avenue.
Well, we'll try.
To get there.
At this point, Commissioner Haggard, I'd entertain a motion.
My motion would be to do what we can to help the, Tynan Water Board, Water Corporation with their, emergency problems that they have right now.
In the amount of,
Sir.
In the amount of no more than $10,000.
I'll second that.
We've got a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Yes, sir, just a little bit. This, for the record, this hasn't come before the committee, but I consider this an emergency. I think we could bypass the committee on this.
thing that concerns me, and I don't know, like you had mentioned about using the poly instead of the stainless because of the availability. And if you do go ahead and do that, and that's against CCQ's regulations or whatnot, can they come in, after you've already installed it, can they come in and completely shut the water system down?
Yes, they can. That's
And
exactly
then,
what
you've wasted
They can.
all the money on installing 2 poly ones.
That's why
you're
Grant
back to
Works,
ground zero.
and that's why Grant Works is probably gonna,
And
that's why they're gonna get.
And also, the thing is, when you introduce it to TCEQ, and you introduce it as a temporary, that's the big deal.
That's
Everybody
the big
understands
thing.
how
We're
much
trying to bridge
temporary.
the gap.
How much
And that
more,
may be something that they overlook. We
how
don't
much
know.
more of the
It's
stainless
up to y'all.
steel? If they were available.
Believe it or not, they're the same price. They may vary 2 to 3%. The thing is availability.
I understand, I just wondered if there was a big difference.
And we've got guys looking out, there could be one sitting on the shelf somewhere in a distributor's warehouse that they just hadn't located. We're working with a gentleman who, Kenneth, I can't even think of his last name now, I think it's Kenneth Davis. He does a lot of work extensively with the drip irrigation down in the valley. And, he was recommended to us by the manufacturer of, the hydroponics. And so we've got a lot of good people involved. He's made 2 trips down here. We did some tests with a smaller in scale version of hydroponics. And, I mean, it filled up the sand. We've, manipulated our well enough that right now, we have reduced the amount of sand that's being pumped, so we're able to deliver water right now. But I mean, it's checked 3 times a day, and, you know, we had a shift. I took the midnight shift because I was the youngest, and we go, you know, drain the tank 35% and catch a sample of it, and, we do the same thing again, just to try to keep water delivery. And then it got to a point we just had to shut it down. We had a diver come in and look, he said it was too packed. They came in with with just a regular vacuum truck that has a great land vacuum pump on it. You know, water weighs 8.8 pounds a gallon. Wet sand is approaching 25 to 30 pounds a gallon, and it just couldn't handle it. And praise the Lord that, I don't know if it's because of the recent rains, but it's like we call a break. And we're still getting a little sand, but nowhere near what it was. But it could come a deluge, and here we go again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cheney. Is there any further discussion?
Does that 10,000 want to be raised just in case for, I mean, because that just, what
Yeah,
if,
maybe
what if it
just
goes
raise it up
over
to
a little bit?
15.
So
I could
And
amend my
then-
motion to add 15,000.
Yeah, just double it. Because it's gonna have to pass muster with Grant Works, and so if we get to the point where we actually buy it, then there's gonna be assurances that it's gonna be.
So I'll amend my motion to put the cap at 20,000.
I'll amend my second.
And any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you again, Mr.
No,
Cheney.
thank
Really
you.
appreciate your presence
We
here this morning.
appreciate y'all.
Moving on, and Mr. Cheney, I understand you may be on the road today. If you need to leave, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Oh, I am. I've got to go make a living. I've got these county commissioners in my county, and they said the ad valorem looks good and the sales tax looks good, but they're gonna be hollering for some money because this little water system.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, go make some money. Bring it
No,
back,
they say
please.
humor is all it takes to friction out of life.
There you
So
go.
appreciate every one of it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Agenda item number 11, approve request to close 4th Street from Refugio Street to St. Mary's and 4th Street to 5th Street in Skidmore for the 9th Annual Skidmore Volunteer Fire Department State Championship Barbecue Cook-Off on Friday, September 30th, 2022.
I move to accept this, request, to, close the street.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 12, approve memorandum of understanding between the city of Beeville and B County in reference to a vehicle for the Beeville Fire Department. This is a housekeeping matter.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? 13, approve B County Resolution authorizing submission of application for Operation Lone Star fiscal year 2022-2023, grant number 4369702 to the Office of the Governor.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 14, approve fiscal year 2023 sheriffs and constables fees report.
Move to approve.
Second with opinion.
I've got a motion and a second, and Commissioner Hager, did you have a comment?
Yes, I have a comment. Are these haven't changed, am I correct? These are the same ones we had last year?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, okay. As time goes along, we may need to look at a little bump. Not much. We don't want to shock anybody, but a little bit would help. I know we discussed this about 6 years ago, something like that. So, our local fees need to kind of follow along so that we don't wind up going, hey, we need to do a big jump, and we don't want to do that. We want to ease the pain.
Understood, thank you. All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 15, approve the award of request for proposal RFP number 21/2022-009 for the Road and Bridge Mineral Bus Stop.
Gentlemen, we got a successful bid, and it's under the money. We have $78,300 in the account. I'm not gonna call it the SQ account. The bid is $68,600 from AMBI. I recommend and make a motion that we approve this, but I have a couple more comments. The way it was couched to me when the check was being written, this check is for anything that needs to be done at that area for the bus stop. There could be additional expenses. Could be, we're gonna put some lighting there, and we'll leave it wide open, and that money will stay in the account. This should be completed by January 1st of 23, and I recommend, and my motion is to approve this and tell them to start the work.
Second. I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? Thank you, Commissioner DeWitt, for identifying this opportunity, identifying the source of funds for this opportunity, and following it through almost to completion. Well done.
Sir.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 16, approve emergency discretionary exemption pursuant to local government code section 262.024 for the purchase of two 70-ton AC units at the Expo Auditorium.
Judge, this item, used ARP funds to repair the first unit. That was in the works. In the meantime, the second unit is going out. We feel we needed to declare this an emergency. We're working with that original contractor now to see if they will extend their contract to take care of this one, because there's a 25 to 35 to 40 week time lag on ordering materials. My recommendation is to approve this. The committee has looked at this. We've approved it. Madam Auditor, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, we just wanted to tighten up the emergency exemption.
So we did previous, did we approve one?
We approved one. Now the second unit's going out.
Okay.
That's the same price.
Same
Purchase of two.
So
Right.
this will supplant the initial emergency
Exactly.
authorization.
That
We're
is
not gonna end up
Yes,
with
sir, Judge.
three,
Yeah.
we'll have an extra 70-ton unit.
Yeah, that's.
Thank
where I'm
you.
going.
Yeah,
thank
We're
you.
gonna have one, a fair?
Two.
I honestly, Commissioner, I thought you had done it today. I passed 4 trucks coming in with a bunch of refrigeration equipment. Yeah.
Yeah,
air conditioning
which-
equipment.
I'll just check the account.
I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve this.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Excellent. Thank you both. Thank everybody. There's no further discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 17, approve Texas Association of Counties Risk Management Pool Workers' Compensation Annual Renewal.
Move to approve. Question?
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Commissioner DeWitt, you have the floor.
One thing we've done over the years, we've added different folks. We've added the volunteers from the sheriff's office and one thing and another. And I was looking over this, and it's just a question. I don't see elected officials being on the workers' compensation. Is that something we want to entertain or not? Or maybe I overlooked it. There's a spot.
Oh, yeah.
No, there's a spot.
HR Director, I believe the elected officials are in there, sir. Give me 1 second.
Okay, Steve, I'm looking at this current privilege. It doesn't show.
Okay, yeah, if you look,
I don't have it page
Okay.
numbered as y'all, but on there, it does indicate under the, current optional coverages selected. All those is what y'all have elected already. So those are on there. If you want to renew, they'll stay on. If not, we can take them off by underneath. We can say no to them.
Elected officials
Yes, sir.
are.
Elected officials, election workers, non-employees,
Okay.
and volunteer law enforcement are all on workers'
I
comp right
rest
now.
my question.
Yes, sir.
I thought we had brought this up sometime in the past, so yes.
You don't have any plans on getting injured?
It's on,
I know what to do.
it's on 17A, so it's,
You're always working.
They're always working.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Castillo.
Yes, sir.
Agenda item number 18, approved contract for the Elections Administration Office's new printer that will accommodate the size of documents needed for printing.
Move to approve, and the contract is right here, Judge, it's still warm.
Thank you. I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion?
I just want to make sure that, I didn't see a price on there, a monthly charge, because the funding that's been.
196.22 on this one, 64
Okay,
months.
so, because the funding was for $183, which funds the largest, machines that we have in the county, so I'm just not sure why it's that much over, but
Is that
could
already
be
in the
because
budget?
it's in,
And new,
at 183.
because it's new.
Yeah,
And that's what I was thinking, that it's on a different contract and it's not, wasn't with the original.
It's NDS leasing, equipment lease, it's 60 months, it's 196.22 per month.
Is it the same company that we do our,
Mhm.
oh, okay.
Yes.
It's
So,
just a separate contract, sir.
Fornex, just make sure that you'll have to keep extra money maybe in your stock, supplies to fund that overage.
So 196.
And I can go
From
back to him and
186
tell
about
him that we've got
120
close to 183,
No,
no?
that, I just used what I had available to go by.
I'll ask him what the difference is. Like I said, I just got that this morning, because I was talking over, this last time.
It's not a-
Move to approve.
Got a motion? Oh, I already have a motion. Yeah, y'all already did that.
183.33.
But the contract's for 196.22 for 60 months.
I'll try to negotiate it down.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. We've addressed agenda item 19. Moving on to agenda item number 20, American Rescue Plan, ARP status and projects. Commissioner DeWitt, Commissioner Lenny,
There's not a whole lot different from what we did last time. We brought, the entire list to the court last time and gave everybody an update. I know the auditor feels that we need, and I agree with her, we need to start bringing maybe each individual item in the agenda. That way they can, when they go to get the minutes to give to the grant works, they can go get those individual minutes instead of a whole list. Is that something we need to start doing now?
It's helpful because a lot of times when we see the minutes in the ARP discussion, it's very limited. And it doesn't quite say, like, just for instance, that's why I did an extra agenda item on the exemption, the emergency exemption, because when we pulled those minutes, it did not specify specifically like I would like to see it. So that's why we did another one to, tighten it up and make sure that we meet that requirement.
Kind of like we did with the Time and Water Supply.
Yes,
for that.
yes, it just gives us a little, a little
Right, we've
different
got it right
format.
there in one item. And there's not a question, because the back audits that the federal government may do, we don't know if they're gonna happen or if they're not gonna happen, but we have to be prepared.
Yes, sir.
So,
We had, Mr. Mercer sent a guy out to do core soil samples, got that done the other day, right? And, we'll get the results of that, so hopefully they'll get started on that pretty quickly. And then, what else was, there's an email that Gracie sent in to Mr. Mercer about the electrical pedestals in the back on the fence line, and doing a dump station. And so we want to find out what the cost difference is, and it may be a lot, it may not much more, but versus doing one big one behind that bathroom like we were talking about on that fence line, or doing smaller ones at each spot. Because they're going to have to do all the trenching, do all the pedestal work, electrical work, and just find out what a cost difference is for that, and look at that. So there's an email out to him on that, and see where we're at. We'll wait for a response.
Ms. Grace, is there any update I know you contacted, her on several things, or something you'd like to update us on?
No, I just have a text to Stephanie from
Untitled to get a price, a quote for the second air conditioner. It is a bigger air conditioner, so it's gonna cost a little bit more, for the second, AC. And, we're just waiting for Mr. Mercer to reply to an email if he will take the, upgrade to it. He'll take, that project.
And, Rod, do we have anything on the emergency management center that can update us on, construction out there, the new one, that you know of?
No, sir, when I talked to Mr. Mercer, we just get that work.
Okay, that was the next step. Judge, anyone else committee? Mr. Chief Deputy, do you have anything, sir? Adjourn for now, sir.
Okay, well, thank y'all very much for that report. We don't have any items on the, for executive session. I move to agenda item number 21, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? We are adjourned. Thank y'all very much.
Commissioner Harris.
Yes, sir.